The large silver ship came down slowly through Earth's clouds. It was the year 2145. People from all nations watched on screens as the alien ship landed in a field near the United Nations building in New York. Captain Do-hyun of the Korean Space Force stood straight in his blue uniform. He was one of 20 Earth soldiers picked to meet the aliens. His heart beat fast, but his face stayed calm. "Remember," said General Lee beside him, "show no fear." The ship's door opened with a soft hiss. A tall, thin being with pale blue skin and large eyes walked out. 3 more aliens followed. "I am Kel of the Luminar," the first alien said in perfect English. "We speak for the Galactic Union. We come in peace." World leaders stepped forward to greet the aliens. Do-hyun watched carefully. The aliens were polite, but he noticed how they looked at human technology. They seemed amused, like adults watching children play with toys. 2 days later, Do-hyun sat in a meeting room as the aliens explained about the Galactic Union. "The Union includes 47 advanced species," Kel said. "We have sorted all known life forms into levels. Level 6 is the highest, with mastery of space, time, and dimension travel." An alien named Trell pointed to a chart. "Earth is level 2. You have basic space travel, but no faster-than-light technology. You are confined to your solar system." Do-hyun noticed the small smile on Trell's face. It was not mean, but it was the smile of someone who sees another as very simple. "What level are the Luminar?" asked the American president. "We are level 5, Kel said proudly. "Only 3 species have reached level 6. Do-hyun raised his hand. "What makes a species advance levels?" "Technology, mainly," said Kel. "Your species is very young. You've only had electricity for about 200 years. The Luminar had space travel when humans still used stone tools." The human leaders looked down, embarrassed, but Do-hyun was thinking. After the meeting, the aliens offered Earth a trade deal. They would give some basic technology in exchange for study rights on Earth's plants and animals. "This is the standard agreement for level 2 worlds," Kel explained. "We cannot give you advanced technology. Your species is not ready." The Earth leaders were excited about any new technology. They quickly agreed to the terms. Later that night, Do-hyun sat with General Lee in the Korean embassy. "They think we're stupid," Do-hyun said. General Lee nodded. "Yes, they see us as children." "But that's wrong," Do-hyun said. "Look how fast humans have advanced. From horse carts to spaceships in 200 years. Have the Luminar advanced that quickly?" "I doubt it." "What are you thinking, Captain?" "Being underestimated can be good," Do-hyun said. "They won't see us as a threat. They'll share things without worrying what we might do with them." General Lee smiled. "You want to learn from them?" "Yes, everything they'll teach us, and more." Do-hyun looked out the window at the alien ship glowing in the night. They think technology is everything, but humans have something they don't seem to value. "What's that?" "Adaptability," Do-hyun said. "We change fast when we need to. We solve problems in new ways, and we never give up." General Lee looked at his captain with new respect. "I'll recommend you as our military liaison to the aliens." Do-hyun nodded. "Thank you, sir. I hope the Luminar keep thinking we're primitive. It will make things easier." "Easier for what?" Do-hyun's eyes were hard and determined. "For when we show them just how wrong they are." The next morning, as the sun rose over New York, the Luminar prepared to introduce Earth to the galaxy. They believed they were welcoming this simple, young species that would take centuries to matter. They had no idea what humans would soon prove capable of. 5 years passed. Colonel Do-hyun walked down the shiny hall of the Galactic Union station orbiting Earth. His new uniform showed his higher rank. The aliens still looked at humans as simple creatures, but Do-hyun had earned some respect. Today, he noticed the aliens seemed worried. They spoke in low voices and moved quickly through the halls. "Is something wrong?" Do-hyun asked a luminar named Jex, who worked with him often. Jex looked surprised. Oh, nothing for Earth to worry about. Just some trouble with the Vex Empire. The Vex. Who are they? Do-hyun had never heard this name. A warlike species from a distant galaxy. They'd been fighting with the Union for years. Jex waved his long blue hand, as if brushing away a fly. It's far from your system. Nothing for primitives. I mean, for level 2 species to concern themselves with. Do-hyun nodded politely, hiding his anger at being called primitive. I see. Thank you for explaining. Later that day, Do-hyun took a shuttle back to Earth. As they approached, he saw new structures in orbit that hadn't been there a week ago. What are those? He asked the pilot. Union defense platforms, the human pilot said. They put them up 3 days ago. Didn't ask permission. Said it was for our protection. Do-hyun frowned. The Union was building weapons around Earth without asking. That was not a good sign. In Seoul, Do-hyun met with engineer Jae-ho. They had been friends since school days. Now Jae-ho led Korea's team studying alien technology. They met in a secure room deep underground. The walls were thick enough to block any listening devices. How is your work going? Do-hyun asked. Jae-ho smiled. His eyes were tired from long work hours, but they shined with excitement. Better than the aliens know. Look at this. He showed Do-hyun a small metal cube. This is Union engine technology. They gave us the simple version, thinking we couldn't understand more. But we found something they missed. What did you find? Their engines use space in a special way, but they only use one approach because of how their science developed. We tried a different way. Jae-ho's smile grew. Our method is better, more efficient. We built a test ship that's faster than what they gave us. Do-hyun stared. They don't know. No, we've kept it secret, like you suggested 5 years ago. Do-hyun nodded slowly. Good, because I think we may need it soon. That night, Do-hyun met with military leaders from around the world via secure video. He told them about the defense platforms and the Vex. The Union is in a war they didn't tell us about, he said. Now they're building defenses around our planet without asking. I think the war is coming here. Admiral Sunmuddy of the United Earth Defense Force spoke up. What do you suggest, Colonel? We need to speed up our secret programs, build more ships using Jae-ho's discoveries, train more pilots, prepare weapons. The Union will notice, someone said. No, Do-hyun shook his head. They won't. They still think we're simple. They don't watch us closely. This is our advantage. The leaders agreed. Earth would prepare in secret. The next day, Do-hyun returned to the space station. He found Jex and other Union officials looking at star maps. May I ask what's happening? Do-hyun said politely. Commander Jex looked annoyed. The Vex have broken through our outer defenses, but it's nothing for Earth to worry about. Will the war reach our system? Do-hyun asked. Jex laughed. No, no. And even if it did, we would protect you. Your species wouldn't understand the complexities of space warfare anyway. Do-hyun bowed slightly. Of course. Thank you for your protection. As he turned to leave, Do-hyun's face grew hard. The Union still thought humans were helpless children. They were wrong. And soon, very soon, they would learn just how wrong. The warning came at night. Colonel Do-hyun was woken by the loud alarm in his quarters. He rushed to the command center beneath Seoul. On the big screen, he saw Union ships racing toward Earth. Not in neat formation, but scattered and damaged. They were running away from something. Admiral Sunmay stood watching, her face grim. It started, she said. The Vex? Do-hyun asked. She nodded. They attacked the outer Union colonies 3 days ago. Now they've broken through the main defense line. The Union fleet is retreating to our solar system. Do-hyun felt cold fear in his stomach. They said the war would never reach us. They were wrong. Sun Mai said simply. The next day, Union ships filled Earth's orbit. Many were damaged with burn marks on their hulls. Escape pods landed, bringing injured aliens to Earth. Commander Jex arrived at the United Earth Defense Headquarters. His blue skin was now pale gray with stress. "We need your help," he told the human leaders. "The Vex destroy our main fleet. We must use your world as a base to regroup." President Min nodded. "Of course. We will help our friends. We may need to evacuate some of your people," Jex added. "The Vex are very dangerous." Do Hyun stepped forward. "What about Earth's defense? You promised to protect us." Jex looked down. "We cannot. The Vex are too strong. We must retreat further into the galaxy." The room grew quiet. The aliens were abandoning Earth. "Then we will defend ourselves," Admiral Sun Mai said. Jex laughed, a short bitter sound. "With what? Your simple ships. Your small weapons. The Vex destroy our level 5 fleets in hours. What can level 2 humans do?" Sun Mai smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "Perhaps more than you think." She pressed a button on her tablet. The large screen showed images from space. Hidden doors opened on the moon, revealing large gun batteries. Satellites changed shape, becoming weapon platforms. And from a hidden base in the asteroid belt, ships emerged. Human ships, but unlike any the Union had given them. Jex stared, his large eyes even wider with shock. "What is this? How did you build these?" "We've been busy," President Min said. "Ever since you arrived, we've been learning, preparing. But the technology, you couldn't understand." Engineer Jaiho stepped forward. "We understood more than you thought. We improved on your designs. Our ships are smaller but faster. Our weapons use less energy but hit harder." Jex looked from one human to another, struggling to understand. "Why didn't you tell us?" "You didn't ask," Do Hyun said simply. "You were too busy calling us primitive." A young officer ran into the room. "Admiral, the Vex fleet has been spotted past Jupiter. They're heading this way. They've sent a message." The message appeared on screen. It was short. "Surrender or be destroyed." Jex collapsed into a chair. "It's over. The Vex don't show mercy. They'll burn your world to ash." Do Hyun and Sun Mai looked at each other. Years of secret work, hidden preparations, and quiet determination had led to this moment. "Get to your ship, Colonel," Sun Mai ordered Do Hyun. "I'll coordinate from here." Do Hyun nodded and turned to leave. Jex called after him. "Where are you going? You can't fight them." Do Hyun stopped at the door and looked back. His eyes were hard and determined, like steel. "We are going to show you what humans can do when we fight for our home." As he walked out, Commander Jex heard Admiral Sun Mai give orders to launch Earth's hidden fleet. For the first time, the alien wondered if he had made a terrible mistake in judging these humans. Maybe they weren't so primitive after all. The Union ships at Jupiter fought bravely. It didn't matter. The Vex destroyed them in less than a day. Do Hyun watched from the bridge of his ship, the KSS Baekdu. The large screen showed the last Union ships exploding in bright flashes of light. "Earth stands alone now," his second officer said quietly. Do Hyun nodded. "We always were. The Union never saw us as equals." Back on Earth, Admiral Sun Mai called an emergency meeting. Union leaders sat with Earth's military commanders around a large table. "We must evacuate your most valuable humans," said Commander Jex. "Scientists, leaders, artists. We can take a few thousand on our remaining ships." President Min's face grew hard. "We will not abandon our world." "But you cannot win." Jex's voice rose. "The Vex have destroyed civilizations more advanced than yours. You have no chance." "Perhaps," Sun Mai said calmly, "but we will fight anyway." She pressed a button, and a 3D map appeared above the table. It showed Earth's defense plan. "Our moon bases have long-range cannons hidden below the surface. Our orbital platforms carry energy shields. And our fleet. She smiled. Our fleet is not what you think. What do you mean? Jex asked. Engineer Jaiho stepped forward. When we studied your technology, we found things you missed. Your species thinks in straight lines. Humans think differently. Jaiho touched the map, and it zoomed in on a small ship. This is our newest weapon. The Union builds big ships with powerful guns. We built small, fast ships with special targeting systems. What targeting systems? A Union scientist named Trell asked. Systems that use Earth's magnetic field, Jaiho explained. Your species evolved on worlds with weak magnetic fields. You never thought to use it for weapons targeting. Trell's eyes widened. That's brilliant. We've been preparing for 5 years, Sunmai said. Not because we knew the Vex were coming, but because we knew that someday someone would threaten our home. The room fell silent. The Union representatives looked at the humans with new eyes. Will it be enough? Jex finally asked. We don't know, President Min said honestly, but we will not go quietly. On the KSS Baekdu, Du Hyun prepared his crew. 500 men and women checked weapons, ran systems tests, and said quiet prayers. The Vex will reach Mars tomorrow, Du Hyun told them. We will meet them there with our allies from other nations. Remember your training. Remember what we fight for. A young officer raised her hand. Sir, the Union ships are bigger and have more experience in space battles. How can we win? Do Hyun smiled. The Union fights by rules they've used for centuries. The Vex expect those rules. We don't follow their rules. We make our own. He pointed to a screen showing Earth, blue and beautiful. That's why we'll win. Not because we're stronger or more advanced, but because we're fighting for our home. And because we'll do things they never expect. In orbit around Earth, the human fleet gathered. Ships from Korea, America, China, Russia, India, and 20 other nations formed a defensive line. They were smaller than Union ships, but sleeker, faster. Admiral Sun Mi's voice came through all communication channels. This is humanity's darkest hour, she said. But remember this. Humans have faced extinction before. Ice ages, plagues, world wars. Each time, we survived. We fought. We adapted. The Vex don't know who they're facing, but they will learn. As the Vex fleet approached Mars, Du Hyun looked at his crew. Young faces, determined and afraid but ready. For Earth, he said simply. His crew answered as one. For Earth. The red planet Mars glowed against the black sky. Around it, human ships waited in silence. Colonel Du Hyun sat in the captain's chair on the KSS Baekdu, watching his screens. Vex ships entering Mars orbit, a young officer reported. 70 large warships. Do Hyun took a deep breath. They expect an easy fight. Let's surprise them. He pressed his communication button. All ships, execute Plan Thunder. The Earth fleet split into 3 groups. Du Hyun led the first group behind Phobos, one of Mars' moons. The other groups hid behind Deimos, and in the shadow of Mars itself. The Vex ships moved forward in a tight formation. They were huge, 5 times bigger than the largest human ships. Their hulls were black with red lights glowing along their sides. They're scanning for us, reported the sensor officer. Their weapons are hot. Hold position, Du Hyun ordered. Wait for them to pass Phobos. Minutes passed slowly. Du Hyun could hear his crew breathing. Feel the tension in the air. On Earth, Admiral Sun Mi watched from command headquarters. Union observers stood behind her, their faces showing doubt and pity for the humans they thought would soon die. The first Vex ships have passed Phobos, the sensor officer said. Do Hyun nodded. Now, the KSS Baekdu shot forward, along with 20 other ships. They came out from behind Phobos and hit the Vex ships from behind. Jaiho's special targeting systems locked onto weak points in the Vex shields, points the Union had never found. Human weapons fired, and 3 Vex ships exploded. At the same time, the second group attacked from behind Deimos, and the third group rose up from Mars' shadow. "They're confused," Du Hyun said, watching the Vex ships try to turn around. "They expected us to fight like the Union." On a Vex command ship, the alien leader hissed in anger. "What is this? The Union never attacks from multiple directions." "Sir," said a Vex officer, "these aren't Union ships. They're smaller, faster, different designs." "Impossible. This system only has the primitive Earth species." Back on the KSS Baekdu, Du Hyun gave new orders. Group 2, execute Plan Mountain. Group 3, execute Plan River. The Earth ships moved like dancers, never staying in one place. The Vex fired powerful weapons, but hit empty space as the human ships dodged and weaved. Meanwhile, human weapons kept hitting the same weak spots on the Vex ships. At Mars Colony 1, Surgeon Han led a team of soldiers. They had special suits that let them fight in space. "Vex landing ships approaching," Han told his team. "Remember your training." When the Vex troops landed, they expected to find easy targets. Instead, Han's soldiers attacked from hidden positions. They used special guns that Jaiho had designed to penetrate Vex armor. The battle raged for hours. Mars glowed with weapon fire and explosions. Some human ships were destroyed. Mars Colony 1 was badly damaged. But the Vex lost ship after ship. In Earth's command center, Union observer Trell stared at the screens in shock. How is this possible? The Vex fleet has lost 23 ships. No one has ever done this much damage to them. Admiral Sunma smiled grimly. Humans fight differently. We learned war from our long history. The Vex fight like machines, following patterns. We adapt. We change. We surprise. On his burning ship, the Vex commander made a difficult decision. Order all remaining ships to retreat. We must regroup. As the Vex fleet pulled back, cheers filled the human ships. Du Hyun didn't cheer. He knew this was just the first battle. "Damage report," he ordered. 12 human ships destroyed. His officer replied. "Mars Colony 1 is damaged but holding." "But Colonel, we destroyed 31 Vex ships." A message came from a captured Vex officer. "What species are you? You cannot be the primitives from Earth." Do Hyun smiled as he replied, "We are exactly those primitives, and we're just getting started." The damaged KSS Baekdu returned to Earth orbit. Colonel Do Hyun looked out at his home planet. It was beautiful, blue and green against the black of space. Now it was in danger. "The Vex will return," he told his tired crew. "With more ships. They won't make the same mistakes again." On Earth, Admiral Sunma called a meeting with all military leaders and Union representatives. "We hurt them at Mars," she said, "but they will be back in 3 days with a bigger fleet." Commander Jex looked sad. "You fought well, but you cannot win. The Vex will send hundreds of ships next time." "Then we will be ready," said President Min. She nodded to Engineer Jaiho. "Show them." Jaiho pressed a button on his tablet. A large screen showed a map of Earth and the space around it. "For 5 years, we've been building the Earth defense grid," Jaiho explained. "Some parts were hidden on the moon. Others were disguised as normal satellites. The Vex do not know what waits for them." He touched the screen. It showed hundreds of small platforms in orbit around Earth. "These are energy projectors," Jaiho said. "Together, they create a shield around Earth. Not one big shield that takes massive power, but many small shields that can move and adapt." Union scientist Trell moved closer to the screen. "This is not like our shield technology." "No," Jaiho agreed. "Your shields try to block everything. Ours are smarter. They predict where attacks will hit and strengthen those areas." Jaiho showed more images. "We also have ground-based systems that use Earth's atmosphere as a weapon. We can create controlled lightning storms to disrupt Vex targeting." The Union representatives stared in amazement. How did you develop all this? Trell asked. These aren't based on Union designs. We took your basic ideas and changed them, Jaiho said. Humans are good at finding new ways to solve old problems. In a bunker deep beneath Seoul, Admiral Sunmai set up the Global Command Center. Screens showed information from around the world and from space. Officers from many nations worked together, speaking different languages but united in purpose. Colonel Do-hyun, Sunmai called through the communication system. Is your ship ready? On the KSS Baekdu, repair crews had worked day and night. The ship was battle-ready again. Yes, Admiral. The Baekdu is ready. Good. Take command of the orbital fleet. I will coordinate from here. Union scientist Trell worked with Jaiho in the engineering section. At first, Trell had doubted humans could create advanced technology. Now he watched in wonder as Jaiho's team made final adjustments to the defense grid. I was wrong about humans, Trell admitted. You're not primitive at all. Jaiho smiled. We're young, but we learn fast. 2 days later, the warning came. The Vex fleet had passed Jupiter, heading for Earth. This time, they had brought 300 ships. They're angry, Do-hyun told his crew. We hurt their pride at Mars. Now they want to destroy us completely. The Earth Defense Forces took their positions. The grid powered up, creating a web of energy around the planet. Ground stations prepared to control the weather itself as a weapon. The Vex attacked with fury. Their weapons hit the Earth grid with incredible power. Some sections failed, and Vex ships broke through. Do-hyun led the counterattack. Human ships darted between the huge Vex warships, firing at weak points. On the main Vex ship, the commander watched in surprise as his first attacks failed to destroy Earth's defenses. What is this? He demanded. How can they have such technology? They are just level 2. For the first time in the long war, the Vex commander felt something new. Doubt. After hours of battle, with losses on both sides, he made an unexpected order. Pull back. We need a new plan. As the Vex retreated to regroup, humans cheered. But Do-hyun and Sunmi knew the truth. This was just a pause in the fight. The real test was yet to come. Colonel Do-hyun stood in the main hangar of the KSS Baekdu. Engineers worked on the ship day and night, fixing damage and adding new systems. The biggest addition sat in the center of the hangar, a new engine glowing with soft blue light. Is it ready? Do-hyun asked Jaiho, who had come to the ship himself to oversee the installation. Yes, this is our greatest achievement. Jaiho touched the engine with pride. The warp drive. The Union said faster than light travel was impossible for humans to understand, Do-hyun said. Jaiho smiled. They were wrong. Their approach requires massive power. We found a different way. In the command center beneath Seoul, Admiral Sunmai called an emergency meeting. Union representatives and Earth leaders gathered around the large table. The Vex are regrouping at their forward base in the Kuiper Belt, Sunmai said, pointing to a location far beyond Pluto on the star map. They'll return in 2 weeks with even more ships. We must evacuate Earth now, Commander Jex urged. There's still time to save some of your people. Sunmai shook her head. We're not running. What can you do? Jex asked, his voice rising. Wait for them to return and destroy you. No, President Min said calmly. We're going to attack them first. The room fell silent. The Union representatives stared in shock. Attack them. At their base, Jex finally said. That's suicide. Even if you could reach the Kuiper Belt in time, which you can't, the Vex will destroy you. Do-hyun stepped forward. We can reach them, and we can fight them. He nodded to Jaiho, who showed images of the new warp drive on the main screen. Impossible, whispered Trell, the Union scientist. Your technology level can't support faster than light travel. We took your basic theories and made them better, Jaiho explained. Your approaches are thousands of years old. Sometimes fresh eyes see new solutions. Admiral Sun Mai outlined the plan. The upgraded KSS Baekdu would leave 50 of Earth's best ships to attack the Vex base. Meanwhile, Earth's defenses would prepare for any Vex ships that might break through. This mission is extremely dangerous, Sun Mai told the room. But sitting and waiting is more dangerous. Jex stood up, his blue face pale with concern. Please reconsider. The Vex will not expect an attack. True, but they are still stronger. Being underestimated is our advantage, Du Hyun said. It always has been. 2 days later, the attack fleet was ready. 50 ships gathered in Earth orbit, each with the new warp drive installed. Du Hyun addressed the fleet from the bridge of the KSS Baekdu. Today we take the fight to the enemy, he said. They think we are weak, primitive, helpless. We will show them who humans really are. Surgeon Han and his Special Forces team boarded the Baekdu. They would lead the ground attack on the Vex base if the fleet broke through. Ready to fight in close quarters, Colonel, Han reported. The Vex have never faced human soldiers hand-to-hand. As the fleet prepared to depart, Union Commander Jex made one last plea. This mission is impossible, he told Du Hyun. No Level 2 civilization has ever defeated the Vex. Do Hyun looked at the alien with firm eyes. Then we will be the first. The 50 ships moved into position. On Earth, millions watched on screens as the fleet prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed. Warp drives ready, Jaiho reported from engineering. Do Hyun took a deep breath and gave the order that would change the war forever. All ships, engage warp drive. Let's bring the fight to them. In a flash of blue light, the human fleet vanished from Earth orbit, traveling faster than any human ships before. They were heading to battle a force that had conquered half a galaxy. But this time, the Vex would face something they had never encountered before. Humans fighting for their home. Humans they had fatally underestimated. Blue light flashed as the KSS Baekdu and its fleet exited warp speed near the edge of the solar system. The Kuiper belt stretched before them, a ring of icy objects far from the sun. Hidden among these ice rocks was the Vex forward base. We made it, Du Hyun said, looking at the stars on his view screen. Warp drive successful. His crew cheered. They had traveled farther than any humans before. Scan for Vex ships, Du Hyun ordered. The sensor officer worked quickly. Found them, Colonel. Vex base located on a large ice planet. Over 100 ships docked there. Do Hyun smiled. They don't know we're here. They never expected us to reach them. He sent orders to the fleet. Attack pattern typhoon. Hit them before they can react. The 50 human ships spread out and raced toward the Vex base. They fired their weapons while still approaching. Bright energy blasts hit Vex ships that were docked and unprepared. Alarms blared on the Vex base. The Vex commander rushed to the control room. What's happening? He demanded. We're under attack, a Vex officer reported. It's the human ships from Earth. Impossible. They can't travel this far. Meanwhile, Surgeon Han and his team prepared for their mission. Ready the boarding pods, Han told his soldiers. We're going to capture their command center. The KSS Baekdu moved close to the main Vex command ship. Small pods shot out from its side, heading for the Vex vessel. Inside each pod were 5 human soldiers in special combat suits. The pods cut through the hull of the Vex ship. Han led his team inside. The Vex soldiers were tall, with gray skin and 4 arms. They wore heavy armor and carried large guns. They're big, a young soldier whispered. But slow, Han replied. Remember your training. The human soldiers moved quickly through the ship. Their smaller size let them use paths the Vex couldn't follow. They reached the main computer room faster than the Vex expected. Back on the KSS Baekdu, Jaiho worked with engineer Trell, who had asked to join the mission. I can help, Trell said. I know Vex technology. Together, they found a way to break into Vex communications. They discovered the Vex used a system similar to Earth's old quantum computers. We can decode their messages, Jaiho said excitedly. We can read their battle plans. Do Hyun received this news with a smile. Send the decoding method to all our ships. The battle raged for hours. Human ships took damage, and some were destroyed. But the surprise attack had worked. The Vex lost ship after ship, unable to organize a proper defense. Sergeant Han's team reached the command center of the Vex flagship. After a fierce fight, they captured it. Han sent a message to Do-hyun. Command center secured. We have access to their main computers. The Vex commander was captured. He stared at the human soldiers in disbelief. How did you defeat us? He asked Han. You are just a level 2 species. Han smiled behind his helmet. You made a mistake. You judged us by our technology level, not by who we are. 3 days later, the human fleet returned to Earth. They had lost 12 ships but had destroyed the Vex forward base and captured important Vex technology. Most importantly, they had forced the Vex to retreat entirely from Earth's solar system. News of Earth's victory spread through the Galactic Union. Ships from many alien worlds came to Earth, not as superiors this time, but as equals seeking alliance. In the United Nations building, President Min welcomed representatives from 20 alien civilizations. We wish to establish new relations with Earth, said a tall alien with golden skin. Your victory against the Vex has shown us that technology level is not everything. Commander Jex, who had doubted humans, now bowed his head to Do-hyun. We were wrong about humans, he admitted. You have earned the respect of the galaxy. 1 year passed since the great victory against the Vex. Earth had changed in many ways. Ships from alien worlds filled the skies. New buildings with strange designs rose in major cities. Humans worked side by side with beings from distant stars. Admiral Do-hyun, no longer a colonel, stood on the bridge of a new ship. The KSS New Horizon was 3 times bigger than the Baekdu. It combined the best of human and alien technology. Fleet status report, Do-hyun ordered. His second-in-command, a tall luminar named Kelter, checked the screens. All ships ready, Admiral. The combined fleet awaits your orders. Do-hyun nodded. Under his command were 200 ships from Earth and 30 alien worlds. They were heading to free planets still under Vex control. Back on Earth, Sun Le worked in the new Galactic Command Center in Seoul. As Earth's strategic director, she coordinated military efforts across many star systems. The liberation of Luminar Prime will begin tomorrow, she told the gathered leaders. Admiral Do-hyun's fleet is in position. Among those leaders was Jae-ho, now head of the Earth Union Science Council. His engineering methods had changed how the entire galaxy built ships and weapons. The Vex don't know we improved our warp drives again, Jae-ho said with a smile. Our ships will arrive 3 days before they expect us. President Min addressed the Galactic Assembly, a new organization that had replaced the old Union. In the Great Hall sat representatives from 100 worlds. 1 year ago, Earth stood alone against the Vex, Min said. Today, we stand together with our galactic friends, not as followers, but as equals. The old Union ranking system had been thrown away. No longer were civilizations judged only by their technology level. The new system valued many things: creativity, adaptability, cultural richness, and problem-solving abilities. Humans taught us an important lesson, said the assembly leader, a wise alien from a distant world. Technology alone does not make a species great. It is how they use it, how they think, how they face challenges. On the KSS New Horizon, Do-hyun prepared his crew for the coming battle. The ship entered warp speed, leading the fleet toward Luminar Prime, Commander Jex's homeworld. We will reach the Luminar system in 6 hours, Kelter reported. Do-hyun nodded. Prepare all ships for battle. We will free your people, Commander. Jex, now Do-hyun's advisor, looked at the human with gratitude. 1 year ago, I thought your species was primitive and helpless. I was very wrong. We were young, Do-hyun said. Not primitive. The galaxy confused the two. In the science lab, Trell worked with human scientists on new defensive systems. Human creativity is remarkable, he told his colleagues. You see solutions where we saw only problems. The Vex Empire was now on the defensive, losing world after world to the combined galactic forces. The war wasn't over, but the tide had turned. As the great fleet approached Luminar Prime, Du-hyun stood on his bridge, watching the stars streak by. He remembered that day 5 years ago, when the aliens first landed on Earth and looked down on humans as primitives. We've come a long way, he said quietly. Kelter nodded. The Vex thought they had found the weakest point in the galaxy when they attacked Earth. Instead, they found its greatest strength. What strength is that? Asked a young officer. Do-hyun smiled. Humanity. We may have been young among the stars, but we brought new ideas, new ways of thinking. We reminded the galaxy of something important. What was that, Admiral? That true advancement isn't measured by the age of your civilization or the power of your weapons. It's measured by your ability to adapt, to think differently, to rise when others say you will fall. The fleet dropped out of warp speed near Luminar Prime. The Vex ships guarding the planet turned to face them. The battle to free another world was about to begin. Do-hyun gave the order to advance. Humans and aliens moved forward together, a united force that had learned to value their differences and combine their strengths. The primitives from Earth had changed the galaxy forever.